I was extremely ignorant, blissfully unaware, head in the sand, going about my life thinking, yeah, the world's so terrible, but Jesus will come back soon. So what do I need to do? That was my mentality. And now I realize how disillusioned it is to live that way. We were also just very focused on the fact that Trump was draining the swamp. He was just projecting. Like, I now see it for what it is now. But I never heard someone say, yeah, he's just projecting here. Like, he is the swamp. Never heard that. I also was under this belief that, when people are trying to get to the top, there will be people, trying to prevent them from getting to the top. And I'm also under the impression that this is God's plan. He's anti-abortion. He's our guy. So there's a lot that went into the brainwashing and indoctrination into supporting MAGA.
We've been down this road before with Trump voters finally coming to their senses and leaving the movement behind. However, this particular case is gaining a ton of attention on social media, largely due to this single comment.
I've been deconstructing from Christianity and left MAGA. I do not speak about it because the hate you receive from the left is no different from the hate you received when you were in the cult. I'm just minding my own business and rewiring my whole belief system. What people don't understand is how hard it is to actually wake up and realize your entire life has been a lie, and now you have to start over from scratch. I'm not going to allow any negativity from anyone into my life. Not only that, I'm not going to be a part of any political party or religion ever again. So the expectation of the left thinking we have to vote blue now in order to make amends or something is not something I want to be a part of. The amount of "I'll never forgive you" I see in your last video is enough for me to never try to speak up on anything that's happened to get me here. I don't think that this is what the left wants. You've been shouting for people to wake up for years, and people do. And you just want to harp on, I don't know what the solution is, but I know it's not to beat people while they're already down.
Before I weigh in with my take, let's see how some others on the left are reacting and responding to this line of thinking from Carter Brown in the commenter.
They act as though the hate they receive from the left is exactly the same, no different from the hate that people receive from MAGA. And that's simply not true. And you should theoretically know this if you have actually conducted any sort of deconstruction that you're claiming to have conducted. And instead of taking the opportunity to speak to that commenter, that person who is claiming to deconstruct but announcing that they are not interested in doing any of the real work, you took that as an opportunity to speak to everyone else, the left, to tell them, see, this is why you should be nice to us. And going, see, if you're not nice to us, we're not gonna do the work, which, by the way, sounds a lot like extortion. The real work isn't you changing your beliefs. That's what you don't seem to understand. The actual important work with any actual impact is going to be undoing the harm. People have rightfully so called out that this video feels like she is, centering herself, her pain, her experience, her discomfort, when decentering herself has to be part of the deconstruction. She is part of the perpetration of harm. And so demanding that the victims of your harm respond to you or speak to you in a certain way you just don't get to do that. You don't get to make demands of your victims. While we can have these theoretical conversations about how welcoming we should be, number one, it's not really up to the right to dictate those conversations or to dictate that response. And number two, even if that were to become the prevailing opinion of people on the left, we should be nice to the people who are abandoning ship. The fact of the matter is, you're never going to get everyone to feel that way. And there are always going to be people that you harmed that are going to want to express that anger with you. So instead of focusing on policing the behaviors and reactions of the people that you spent years harming, let's maybe focus on deconstruction that doesn't require any specific type of reaction from them.
So one point that I really agreed with from Brenda Perez and her argument is the fact that, if you're a MAGA voter, if you voted for Trump 3 times, like, you can't pretend that the hate you receive for the harm you've done is the same as the hate that MAGA voters and MAGA people have spread across the entire globe, and not just the country. Like, you can't make that false equivalence. And then on top of that, you have the audacity. This is what I really resonated with. How do you have the audacity to dictate the terms of the left being welcoming and appreciating you for coming to your senses when you create a lot of harm, you cause a lot of harm? So you don't get the choice, you don't get to choose those terms of people welcoming you in to the community. No, that's not what happens. Like, sure, you want people to be welcoming you in and for there to be grace. However, you can also understand that the people that you hurt for so many years, they're not going to be, yeah, let's come back in, come here. Yeah, we're just going to invite you open hands. No, that's not how it works. Okay, not everybody's going to do that. But it really exposes, right, the right's obsession with rugged individualism and the left's push for a greater sense of collectivism. But again, you can't. And that individual was responding to a commenter, their comments, right? And then decided to make it about the left instead of that person's comments. And then decided to make it about themselves, which again, you fail to really understand what's going on here. When I listened to Carter Brown's video and her so-called deconstruction from MAGA, especially in the context of her being a 3-time Trump voter and current events that are happening right now in Iran, all the ICE violence, an affordability crisis, just the pure consolidation of power, I'm not sold on it. I see it doesn't really move me, because again, you're centering yourself. You're making it about you. Now you're the victim when you've been harming so many other people for a decade, right? By voting for Trump. So you clearly had no issue, right? Clearly had no issue harming people with your vote, understanding that there were some nasty things that Trump said, and he said he was going to do certain things, and he did. And then there are other things that he said he wasn't going to do, and people like yourself were foolish enough to believe it. So when you put that backdrop, you put all that into context with everything going on, come on now. Like, we want people to wake up, and it is good for you to get to the right side. However, talking about, the hate that you receive is, equivalent to the hate that people on the left receive from MAGA voters. That's just, no, I'm sorry. That's not true whatsoever. And it doesn't make people want to have conversations with you. And if anything, it's, woe was me. It's like, you have to pay for your crimes. Like, you have to pay for what you did. Like, sure, there can be a resolution process, reconciliation process for you to come to the right side of humanity. But that harm you caused, that will never go away. That will never go away.
Were you told from the beginning that it had been an ICE agent who shot your son?
No. I didn't find out till an article came out, and it was written in little tiny print on the bottom that the police officer didn't want everybody, he wanted everybody to know that it wasn't from the police, it was from an outside agency. And I didn't understand what that meant. So I had to find out later. I asked later, and then I was told that it was an HSI agent.
When did you find that out?
I guess about a week after. I think they were just confrontational and aggressive and impatient, and I think he was confused and probably scared. And I think it should not have happened.
This is Rachel Reyes, the mother of Ruben Ray Martinez, a 23-year-old U.S. citizen who was shot and killed by an ICE agent almost exactly a year ago, whose case was curiously unknown by the public until journalists did some digging and publicly shamed DHS for not taking accountability for the senseless tragedy when it happened last year.
I don't blame President Trump for the death of my son because he wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. But I do think that something needs to be changed in that department as far as the pattern of violence or abuse and impunity, if I can use that word.
Among federal agents.
Correct. Yes. It just doesn't seem right to keep doing that to people, to humans. To me, it's not about left or right. It's about right or wrong. And stuff like that shouldn't be happening.
So you're saying you're not speaking out about your son's killing because you oppose the president. You voted for him, right?
Right. Yeah, no, it's nothing political as far as I'm concerned. It's about my son's life.
Has your son's fatal shooting changed your views on any of those issues, including the current administration? You told me earlier that you supported President Trump in the 2024 election.
Not about the president, but about that department.
DHS.
Yes.
One is disappointing, right? To hear that, because we wouldn't be in this situation if he was in office. But she voted for him in 2024. It's as if people still try to give him an out because he is the one responsible for this. His administration, they're the ones carrying it out. We can talk about, there are plenty of issues with previous administrations on so many issues, right? But what he's doing here, that's him. That's him. That's Stephen Miller. Okay? That's everybody. So it's disappointing. You feel for her, obviously, what happened to her son, who should still be alive. But then to hear her not acknowledge Trump's role, it's just, there's a huge disconnect there. Huge disconnect. For LHQ, I'm Chris Williamson. We'll see you next time.